involved a new miracle drug called Gleevec that stabilized George's white blood cell count and saved his life, at least for a time. In a way, it was probably a good thing that Letterman didn't make it to the memorial, given that Leno did. The tension of having them both in the same room might have proved a major distraction. Once good friends, they'd had a famous falling out in 1991 when NBC chose Leno over Letterman to succeed Johnny Carson as host of The Tonight Show, and time had not healed the wound. Neither man ever talked publicly about the rift, but their mutual friends in the room knew both sides by heart. Leno expressed bewilderment that Letterman blamed him for the fact that NBC offered him the gig after deciding, for whatever reasons, that Dave wasn't right for it. That's the way the showbiz cookie crumbled, he figured. It was all in the game. What was he supposed to do, turn down the opportunity of a lifetime? The way Letterman saw it? Yes. Dave thought their 16-year friendship should have precluded Jay from lobbying for and making a secret deal to take over the show that he himself had always dreamed of inheriting. As much as Dave coveted the job, he couldn't imagine going behind Carson's back to get it. He didn't know if he would ever be able to trust Jay again. These were treacherous waters for their fellow comics to navigate. The Tonight Show, starring Jay Leno, and The Late Show with David Letterman were the twin peaks of the stand-up comedy business, the best TV exposure a comic could get. So no one wanted to appear to take sides in the Dave-Jay thing for fear of losing both a friend and a potential buyer. Truth be told, given the opportunity, most, if not all of them, would have done what Leno did, but they probably would have felt worse about doing it. Nobody blamed Jay, but everybody understood why Dave felt betrayed. Letterman was nothing if not loyal to his old friends. The joke among them was that he hadn't made a new one since 1979. In addition to Miller, he regularly brought on longtime pals Tom Dreesen, Richard Lewis, Johnny Dark, and Johnny Witherspoon. And it was, ironically, Letterman's frequent booking of Leno on NBC's Late Night all during the 1980s that had helped propel Leno to the top rank of stand-up comedy and ultimately put him first in line for Carson's crown. In contrast, Leno rarely featured stand-up comics on The Tonight Show, explaining to his old friends that the network didn't think they drew viewers, that the research showed people even tuned out when comics came on. The comics didn't buy it. They thought that, as host, Leno should buck the network brass and book anyone he thought was funny, just like Carson had before him. Fair or not, the knock on Jay was that he wouldn't go out of his way to help a fellow comic. And yet here he was, one of the busiest men in show business, spending a Sunday afternoon at the Laugh Factory, mixing easily with the old gang and reminiscing with obvious affection about a guy he hadn't hung out with in 25 years. George and I had nothing in common, Leno said. Not one thing. Cars? Leno collects them. George drove his mother's battered Chrysler LeBaron with cracked Corinthian leather seats and a peeling vinyl top. Drugs? Leno never did them. Miller never stopped. But George always made me laugh, he said. He was a true comic, not a sitcom actor or an improv performer. He was a classic stand-up. It was what he was meant to do. He noted that their relationship had been conducted mostly by phone in recent years, with George calling frequently to critique his Tonight Show monologues or to apologize cheekily for not being able to get me on the Letterman show. He suggested I send a tape. One by one, Miller's old pals followed Leno to the microphone to share their favorite George joke or anecdote. The famously garrulous Dreesen explained why he was chosen to MC by telling Miller's favorite joke about him. The cop stopped Tom Dreesen the other night and asked him, "You want to talk here or down at the station?" Dreesen said, "Both, and in the car, too." Native American comic Charlie Hill launched into a call and response with some of Miller's best remembered bits. "Why are so many people drinking Diet Cola?" he shouted. "Because they are fat and thirsty," the crowd hollered back. "A cow on speed," rapid fire.